It's a rather tragic story in which the family of a 17-year-old girl who was shot and killed by a boy in her community have expressed concern about how the case is being handled by the security agencies. The suspect is said to have shot the girl in the stomach with a pump-action gun belonging to the father. The uncle of the deceased says crucial evidence in the case could be tampered with. Well, Maxwell Agbagba follow through the developments surrounding the story and is bringing to us this piece. And we'll have him in the studio to also give us a lot more detail about the story ongoing.
Hers was an undying passion for the pursuit of academic laurels, but that burning flame would be extinguished through the barrel of a gun. Last Wednesday morning, when the 16-year-old Achimota student Lily Jigbodi Asigbetse stepped out of the four walls of a residence at Isligon, she had no idea she was walking into death's tangled web. Relatives and friends have visited their home to commiserate with her family. Her mother, Bibiana Donko, sits in front of me in mourning clothes. Her slightly tinted glasses could not hide her teary eyes as she eulogizes her daughter.
I can never say my child was a bad girl. She loved people, and death has painfully snatched her from me. We want them to establish the truth. She cannot be killed in that manner. Just like that.
Bibiana has run out of strength to narrate events leading to the death of her last child. Lily's uncle, Alfred Donko, mans up to narrate the gory incident.
They said the whole abdomen was full of blood. There has been so much internal damage. Her kidneys had, more than half of the kidneys were destroyed. The lungs are totally collapsed. The parents had come with the boy and they said their son was having a chat with our niece, and at some point he decided to go to his father's bedroom, and he picked up a pump-action gun. And the pump-action gun, and in an attempt to demonstrate or fire or something, the bullets went into our niece. As you can see, my sister is very distressed. And we are looking up to the police and the justice system in Ghana to find out the truth. We find it difficult to believe that. The defense said that the police had gone to the Osu juvenile bostal, and it was full. The prosecution denied that. So we don't understand why the child has been sent back to the home where this crime was committed. I mean, how are we sure that the evidence, you send the child back to the crime scene, how are we sure that the evidence is not going to be tampered with?
The Children's Act 1998 protects the rights of the child even in circumstances when they commit an offense. But will this provision insulate the suspect from prosecution? Lawyer Edmond Amakwe Foley is a lecturer at the Gimpa Law School.
Mentioned that in Ghana, a child under 12 years is deemed not to be criminally responsible. So if it happened to a child of 11 years, the law would not even begin to have this discussion we are having. That child will be deemed in law not to be able to commit a crime. But above 12 years, they are deemed to be criminally responsible. So they may be children, all right, but we'll hold them liable for their conduct.
Reports suggest the gun that was used in carrying out the grievous offense belongs to the parents of the suspect. But can the boy's parents be held liable for an act that he committed? Lawyer Foley again.
So the parent who is the licensed owner of the gun, by the terms of the license, is under responsibility to keep the gun in a safe place, keep it uncorked, and they have some part of that. It is the leave it unlocked, yes, or locked, yes. It must be, the trigger must be locked, and all of those things. Make sure, I mean, the magazine is taken out and all of that. So it's a question of evidence at this stage and what the police will find. If it is found out that the father did not keep the gun in a place and created a situation of risk, then yes, he could incur some liability as far as negligently causing, the death of a person is concerned. But if it is found out that he had kept the gun in a very safe place and in a safe manner, according to the terms of the license and the way that a licensed gun owner is supposed to keep a gun, but the son went out and found the gun and put it together and used it, then the boy still retains full criminal responsibility.
Deaf has stolen a lily pearl flower from the garden of the Asigbeches. They are demanding justice for the death of their daughter, Lily Jigbodi Asigbeche.
And Maxwell Agbagba is in the studio. Maxwell, what really happened? Didn't really get that in the story. What really happened for the girl to have been shot or died from firearms?
Okay, so let me start a narration from
Please do.
The point where Lily left home. So it was on the 5th of January. That was last week, Wednesday. Lily went to her mom and told her that she needs to go and pay her fees. She needs to go and
She's a student?
Yeah,
Where?
she's a student. Okay, so the two people in this case, the suspects, both the suspect and the deceased, are students of the Achimota School. They are third-year students of the Achimota School. Lily is 16, the suspect is 17. But the incident did not happen in the school. And I think that's what we have to point out clearly. So she took money. So she took the money from her mom that she was going to pay her fees. So she left her residence at East Legon. So she left home, and the mom told her actually that, okay, so if you get to wherever that you're going to pay the fees, just call me so that I know that you've finished paying the fees, and then you come back home. So the mom was at home, and then sometime around 8:30 p.m., she got a call that she should come to the 37 Military Hospital. So when she rushed to the 37 Military Hospital, that was the point that she was told that her daughter is at the theater. At that point, she didn't know that her daughter had died at that point. But now let me come to what happened, what exactly happened. So after paying her fees, she ended up in Tema. So in Tema, she went to visit a male friend of hers, that's a 17-year-old suspect. Reports that we are getting indicates that they were on the compound of the house, and then they ended up...
Compound of the house of the 17-year-old suspect?
17-year-old suspect.
Where he lives?
Yeah, where he lives, in Tema. And the parents were not...
Which part of Tema?
We don't want to put that out now, because that's what the police have told us, that we should be very careful with some of the core details.
The details.
Yeah, the core details. So somewhere in Tema, and the parents were also not around. So they were playing on the compound, and then they ended up in the bedroom of the suspect's father, and that was where the killing happened. And it was a pop action gun that was used. But as it stands right now, we are unable to tell. No, the police are also not able to tell what exactly triggered the gunshot from the suspect. We've been reduced to mere
do we even know whether it's a suspect who shot the gun?
Oh yes, they've admitted, the suspect's parents have
They've established that?
They've established that. So now the only thing left to establish is whether it's a case of murder or manslaughter. That's what the police would, prosecution would have to establish now. But when the thing happened initially, the reports that the parents and the family members of Lily received was that the girl, actually, there was a firecracker that was thrown from an adjoining house that landed on her. That was the initial thing that they were told by the family of the suspect. So it was later at the 37 Military Hospital where they were told that the wounds on the tummy of the girl was inconsistent with that of an injury sustained from a firecracker. So they were told that no, it's not a firecracker. It is actually a bullet wound from a pump action gun. Now, the auntie of the deceased, Peggy Amansha-Donko of GTV, she actually posted that on her Facebook first when the thing happened. And
Peggy Amansha-Donko
Peggy
of GTV.
Of GTV, yeah.
Former DJ award winner.
Yeah, she first posted it on Facebook. And in fact, when she posted it on Facebook, because that was the information that she had gotten as at that time, that it was a firecracker that killed her niece. So she actually put it on Facebook that her niece, she has lost her niece, she died.
And that we should be careful of firecrackers.
You know. But later that evening, that was when it was established that no, it was not a firecracker. It was a bullet wound sustained from a pump action gun. Yeah, Roman.
So, the suspect, where is he?
Okay, so the suspect currently...
following that, how did the police come into this?
Okay, so the police got information, the Tema Community Aid Police, the issue was reported. There was a deceased uncle who reported the matter to the Tema Community Aid Police.
The deceased uncle in the video?
Yeah, the deceased uncle in the video.
Mr. Donko?
Yeah, Mr. Donko. He reported the issue to the Tema Community Aid Police, and later the issue was reported to the airport police, and then later referred to the homicide unit of the Criminal Investigations Department. So as it stands right now, the case is with the homicide unit of the Criminal Investigations Department. They've had the first court sitting. The second hearing will be on the 24th of January. But because the suspect is a juvenile, you know, the case is kind of like, you have to be very, because under the Children's Act of 1998, the child's rights,
the suspect is 17?
Yeah, it's a 17-year-old.
We'll just wait. When he's 18, we'll keep him in custody. When he's 18, we'll food.
Yeah, so they are very careful with how they deal with the issue. But one concern that they raised, the uncle of the deceased raised in the story that we played earlier, was about how the boy was, he's in the custody of his parents now. He's saying that, okay, so when the defense actually went there's a remand home actually somewhere in Osu, and the boy was supposed to be remanded there. But when they went there, the place was full. The uncle of the deceased says that the prosecution has denied that the remand home at Osu is actually full. So he does not understand why the boy should be sent back to the crime scene in Tema where the incident happened. He fears that evidence could be tampered with.
Well, so we have lawyer Francis Xavier Susu. A very good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, and a good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners.
Okay, grateful for speaking to us. But in a case, we have a case in point in which we're discussing. It's about a 17-year-old suspect who is said to have perhaps murdered or perhaps killed his friend, a 16-year-old classmate who lives at East Legon. But the incident happened in Tema. Now, the suspect is a 17-year-old. In the case of homicide or whatever it is, what does the law say about it?
Very good morning once more. I think when it comes to a 17-year-old person who is in conflict with the law, he would be considered as a juvenile under Section 60 of the Juvenile Justice Act 2003, which is the Act 653. Now, anyone who is below the age of 18 who is in conflict with the law is called a juvenile for that purpose, and it means that he must be dealt with under the Juvenile Justice Act. And now, under the Juvenile Justice Act, all the rules that govern criminal procedure is what pertains, in relation to these children, with some very limited variations. For example, the arrest, the need for them to be questioned or interrogated by the police, except that this one will be done in the presence of a lawyer or their parents. When that is done, when it is a serious offense, and in fact, under the Juvenile Justice Act, serious offense includes murder. When it's a serious offense, there would be the need for him to be put in a remand home by an order of a court. And so when you look at this very case, I don't know why, what I've been hearing, because I don't have the full facts, but I've been hearing that the perpetrator or the accused person who is a juvenile is still on bail and walking out there free. And for me, I think that is quite worrying. It's worrying because a crime is a crime. We don't have to belittle or whittle down the effect of crime just because the person involved is a juvenile. What happens is that because it's a juvenile, we treat them in a special way, not like adults. But it doesn't take out the fact that a person has been killed, and that killing was done by someone who, if he had taken reasonable care, would not have killed, that person by unlawful injuries. So I think that there should be something fundamentally wrong how this case is being handled by the police.
Now, we know that the current case as it is and involving a 17-year-old would mean that that person would have to be kept in a juvenile center. Is that it? Absolutely. He is supposed to be kept in the Boster home. I mean, it's a special remand home for juveniles. Now, if that is the case, but now the suspect is gone back home, how can that perhaps jeopardize or become a bit unruly or perhaps contravene the law? No, I think that, allowing the suspect to go home raises, suspicion as to how police has handled this case. You see, and I think that it's important that as we are moving forward, our institutions will, in ways to build public confidence in them. When a person is killed another, you have deprived somebody of their right to live. And our laws clearly prescribe what must happen under those circumstances, and there shouldn't be any excuse whatsoever for which reason the perpetrator of this crime should be walking about free. At the barest minimum by now, he or she, should be in a remand home whilst the matter is being investigated further, or the docket sent to Attorney General for purposes of advice as to how the trial must go. But looking at the case the way it is now, it rather raises suspicions of compromise of the system. Either somebody has received some bribe, somebody has been influenced in one way or the other to allow the suspect to go, to the detriment of the poor soul that we have lost. Well, we have to say thank you very much, Lawyer Francis Xavier Sosu. And we also have to jump onto the phone lines again. We speak to the Executive Director for Child Rights International and Bright Appear. A very good morning to you.
Good morning, Roman.
Okay. And now, particularly with, we're having on hand a case in which a 70-year-old boy is a suspect in a murder case of a 16-year-old. The incident happened in Tema, and we're told that it's being handled by the Community 8 police. It's already in court, but the first sitting, I think they went to court, it's been adjourned. But the young boy who is a suspect, the 17-year-old, has not been kept in a Boster home. Is that a bit out of the norm, so to speak?
Yes, of course. It is out of the norm because if you look at the Juvenile Justice Act, it prescribes the way we need to handle some of these issues, irrespective of the offense that has been committed. The only distinction the law provides is that the system can determine the gravity of the offense and decide whether to put it in a junior correctional center or a senior correctional center. That is the only distinction. But it doesn't take away the right that that child needs to enjoy, irrespective of the offense that has been committed. But if you look at this particular case, it involves two people that are covered by the law. They are all below the age of 18 years. So whichever way we look at it, we should ensure that their rights are protected, so that at the end of the day, we administer justice in a manner that will preserve their dignity. So whether it's murder or not, the law that we have in this country protecting children cannot put the child in adult prison, or you cannot say that because it's a murder case, you'd want to put the child behind bar in terms of the normal, where it's a murder case, they are not entitled to bail and all that. But in any case, if you look at the Martin Pebu case, you realize that now there's some kind of leverage that comes to play in terms of how we handle some of these issues, even if the person is an adult. So we need to be clear, and for us, from our perspective, we think that the right of these people must be protected, in order to ensure that we do that in a way that will protect their dignity.
According to the narrations, the police tried to perhaps get the young suspect detained at the Bosta home in Osu. It was not possible. Why would we have perhaps a shortage of place for a suspect in a Bosta home in Ghana?
Yeah, that is the difficulty, because if you go to the senior correctional center or the junior correctional centers that we have in this country, it's only Accra that is operating, and even with that, the facilities are not something that you can boast of. But once somebody is suspected of committing murder, it requires that the system must keep a very close eye on the person, so that at least you provide all the necessary clinical support for the child's well-being. But in most cases, we do not get the support. So sometimes the system finds it very difficult to keep them with the fear that such people can also affect other children. So whatever it is, I do not think that we should debate that as to whether they can find a place for them. But once we have stated that in our law, I think that the system should be responsible enough to provide that sort of service, because that is not an excuse whatsoever to put a child in adult prison. But where the system cannot even do that, the Juvenile Justice Act also proposes a system where that person will be handed over to a social welfare officer or a fit person with a responsibility of taking care of that child with all the things that child would enjoy if the child were to be in a correctional center. So there are alternatives, but we don't have alternative where you'd have to place the child in adult prison just because it is a murder case. But we should explore the other alternatives. If we don't have the facilities to keep the children in a correctional center, there's alternative where we can commit that child to the hands of a social welfare officer to provide the same services that if he had been in a senior correctional center. So we need to be clear on those issues so that we don't violate the right of children in the process.
Well, thank you very much. And we know that at the heart of the case is the fact that a gun was used, and apparently the gun may have belonged to the parents of the boy. That also brings into question about monitoring at the home, doesn't it?
Yes, of course. And where where children are, the law is also clear as to what we can do in that environment, what they need to see, because the issue of capacity comes to play here. So if the child is not capable of handling a gun, then parents must exercise that right in a manner that will not expose children to some of these things. So if they have done something of a sort, then of course the parent of the child must also be brought to book, because in certain instances, punishment that have been done by offense that have been committed by children can also be handed to the parent based on the role that they play in the process. So we should also not lose sight of the fact that, yes, offense has been committed by a child, and of the home that resulted in the kind of thing that we are seeing. And if that is well established, then we can pursue the parent to also establish why they have exposed children to such weapons, which of course they cannot use and all that. Because the law is clear at the time that children can have access to certain weapons and what they can use it for. So if the parent did not exercise that authority, did not exercise that due diligence, then of course we can question them as to their role in terms of the negligence conduct on their part or the reckless nature that they have handled things there. So, and beyond that, that is the law, but there is also a social responsibility of parents to ensure that once you have a child, there are certain practices that need to happen, and when you feel that, the law can interpret it to mean that you have neglected your duty of care towards the child. So we need to do evaluation of all that, not just to focus on the crime that has been committed, but we need to do what we will call the social investigation to establish all the surroundings in order to come to a conclusion that this is what happened.
Okay.
Then they can pursue it because it's about a child, and everything else must come to play to ensure that we deliver justice in a manner that will protect, that will give justice to the parent of the child that we are talking about, and then also to administer justice to those who that have lost their kids.
All right. Thank you very much, Bright Appiah. And Bright Appiah is the Executive Director for Child Rights International, speaking to us on this very subject. Maxwell, so what will you be doing on the case? Will you be following up again?
Yeah, I'll definitely be following up on this case to see how it pans out, in the court, whether on how it would be established, whether it was a murder or it was manslaughter. The funeral for Lily is this Saturday. And as at the time we visited, then the family, they were meeting to discuss, how they were going
how they go about it.
So we'll be following up and we'll be bringing
a very tragic case. Wish you all the best.
Tragic, yeah.
Maxwell Agbagba, chief reporter on this subject, and we know that this very tragic incident also is evoking a lot more emotions, but we'll try and give you some conclusions to it, if there ever is any conclusion. Maxwell Agbagba, a very good morning to you. Now, we have to continue our discussions on the show. We'll be having in the studio pretty soon a former presidential staffer, a former lecturer as well with the University of Ghana, but currently a member of parliament, and Dr. Clement Apak will be my guest next. Please, next, we'll be here.